Okay, there we go. I'll do the recording. Yeah, we've done that too as well with the host key. Really great way to just pop in and use the Zoom. So just to back up on the recording, we're talking about regeneration, the opportunity for Cardano, a challenge, an experiment within the experiment, and a challenge within the challenge. Trying to get proposers and proposals to stop duplicating things within a challenge and work together, consent on a budget. And I brought John on board because I don't feel like I have the capacity to facilitate. I know it's going to be a really huge challenge. So if you don't mind, John, just repeating what you said about the difference between facilitation and...
Right. We earlier, before the recording started, we were talking about the fact that I've got 3 grandchildren aged between 10 and 15 visiting us for 3 weeks, and we're going to have 2 more second cousins, girls, showing up. So we'll have 3 or 5 children between the ages of 10 and 15 in the house for 3 days. So,
and that's pretty much the same challenge as what I'm looking at, right?
Right. And so I also am working on something called the Provisional World Children's Parliament, where we've got kids from India and Africa and Greece and then US and shortly Britain, all meeting together. And it's provisional because we don't have 20 countries yet, and we can claim it's the World Children's Parliament. But anyway, what we have done in the house is we've set up in a meeting with the children that's egalitarian, in a circle meeting with the children, set up a system whereby for each meal, one child has responsibility for getting the meal set up and delivered, whether it's directly or indirectly. And another child on a rotational way is responsible for getting things cleaned up. And somebody also, which was me yesterday, is responsible for sweeping the kitchen floor in the evening when the day is done. And it rotates. We have one more role, which is what I jokingly call the day boss. For each day, there's a different child who's the boss for that day. And you were, Melanie, going, hierarchy.
Boss. Yeah, I don't want to be a boss. Yeah.
Right. And so I was saying that in a somewhat teasing way because I knew that it would be stimulating for you, or re-stimulating.
Yeah. So day facilitator would be a less grady word for me.
Well, so the distinction that I want to make is that we have a meeting of everybody together, everybody is equivalent. That meeting needs to be guided by somebody, and we call that person a facilitator. In terms of accountability, you need somebody who, if it's my responsibility to be getting breakfast ready and I haven't done it, the day boss comes by and says, John, you're supposed to be getting, breakfast ready. What's happening? Do we need to help you? What's the deal? And they make sure it gets done. They're accountable for making sure everybody is doing their job. And that rotates each day. But there's a role there that is associated with accountability and oversight and all that sort of stuff that can be elected in an egalitarian way, but and we do, actually we're electing by rotation, but it can be, everybody has to consent to the person who is doing that top-down leadership in order to maintain the needed accountability and authority and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like it's an old tradition in some ways. Like in the United States, up until 1860, the men in the army would elect their officers. And so they were following into battle somebody they had elected to lead them into battle. So they're saying, yes, we need strict military leadership, but we're going to say who is doing that. That disappeared after the Civil War, and the big new corporations forms of things came in, and they do. And today, still, companies
top
are
down,
operating top down, but you can bring back the bottom voice to the top, so that the bottom approves the top, literally. And so that's the what we've tried to set up with the 3 grandchildren here, the 3 grandsons, and we're about to get 2 more cousins coming in a couple of days, so we'll have 5 kids between 10 and 15 in the house for 3 days. And
they're all familiar with the program, though.
no,
But again, you said, you know, you've missed visiting with
I've
them
missed
over
the last 3 years with them, so
Yeah.
I'm just introducing it a little bit.
Yeah.
When we work in the Provisional World Children's Program, it's all online. This is live.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, they're used to having chores, but they're not used to having the say over who has what chores and how it's allocated and who does what and so forth.
Sounds like you have a cat, and my cat's kind of going, what?
I saw your cat in the background. I saw the curled black tail.
Yeah. Yeah.
My cat is a very old grumpy cat.
Yeah.
And
Sounds
I
like
think she's probably going to come in and want to sit on a chair next to me. Let me get the chair set up here
perfect.
for her.
Perfect. Sounds like my daughter's cat, Moofy. Not an old cat, but grumpy right from the very beginning. Beautiful.
Her favorite thing is to parade across the keyboard.
Yeah.
Stepping on the keyboard.
And then my biggest fear, it's like, what email did you just send? Yeah, right. What site did you just open up?
I have literally had my phone lying on the desk in an email mode and not sent a butt dial, but a cat dial.
Oh man, unbelievable. Unbelievable. I know. When they need our attention, they need our attention now. And
right.
Yeah, sometimes I think it's just for attention too, so that we can start their per mobile or per motor, right?
Right, right.
I think, yeah. So yeah, so this is really cool. You know, the thought of proposers coming in, and it's scary for me at some point, you know, like it's sort of like, well, this is my baby, you know, this challenge. How do I go in and offer myself as to be in this elected role of facilitation? And then maybe somebody else comes in and goes on a different route. This is a little bit scary for me, guaranteed.
Yeah, but if they go on a route that is not tolerable for you, then you can object.
And this is it. It's like, it's not like our government voted in, they're in, and away they go, do whatever they want. This is a completely different thing, because yeah, the route is carefully monitored by the ground up, and also anything that may deviate is brought back in. Perfect.
And the idea is that you're not debating as to who's got the best ideas or which is the one, you know, but how to combine the ideas so that it's the synthesis.
The big one.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the synthesis of what everybody's thinking.
Right. And finding the voice, the common voice that includes everybody's, which is really incredible. It's also a place where the ego is down.
Oh, don't take away my ego. Bring in my ego. It's fine to have egos in there.
So, but the bad part of the ego. Oh, maybe there isn't.
We are trained to think in an either or way, winners and losers.
Both and. John,
and
I use that all the time. I say John Buck says both and.
If you have winners and losers, everybody loses.
Right.
And if you have everybody's voice accommodated and incorporated in the thinking, you have lots of creative, original thinking happening. And what's this winners and losers stuff? We're doing this together. Yeah.
So this is the change in thinking, the big change in thinking that we need. It comes up in roots of empathy. You know, emotions are not bad.
Right.
You know, right. Ego is not bad. We have one core team member that pushes back. I push back on all sorts of stuff. And it's kind of like, this is not bad. This is what we need to do. There's something inside of you, and that feels like ego. This is where it feels like it's your ego popping in and saying, I really have to have this. But what it is a bit of a pushback so that your voice is heard and that you can move forward together. And so far, I don't think there's ever been an instance where I've pushed back that we haven't come to consent. And actually, whatever we've done has become better.
Right.
So, and that's the part where I absolutely love what we've been learning through you and what we learned through you, and we've taken the last 10 months in Cardano for Climate.
It's hard to find truth through fighting. It's much easier if it's synthesis and everybody thinking together.
So as far as, do you have questions about this challenge? And here the cat is on my lap, so.
Mine's not yet here. Oh, she settled on the floor behind me, so I'll take care of that. Yeah, it's really subtle stuff, because there's also the downside of something called group think. It's like, oh, we all got to think together. Oh my God, you know, it's this decision by committee, and that's not what you want. And if you're truly synthesizing things and having fun and the flow out of it, then you got great things happening. If it's everybody has to agree to this, then you end up, you know, stuck. And so there's some skills in that keep it so that you're acting as if you've created a synthesized mind. You've created a bigger mind between all the pieces. And in our own lives, there are some times when everybody feels stuck and you just go like that. And that's kind of like, that doesn't function very well. If you have good mental health, then you think through that and you get going. If you are depressed or something like that, you just kind of, you know, and so when you're trying to get people to think as a synthesized mind, you are subject to things like a depressed synthesized mind or something like that. So you want to have a good emotional health in this, the mind of several people. My favorite animal in that regard is the octopus, which literally has 9 brains.
Oh, 9 brains, yeah.
9 brains, 1 brain in each leg, and then a centralized facilitator. And the brains and the legs can talk with each other without the central system even knowing about it. So that's one case where nature has done what people struggle to do. And the octopus is one of the world's smartest animals.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've seen the documentary Octopus, My Teacher. Have you seen that? I'm
aware of it. I've kind of did my own research before that came out, so I didn't feel like there's anything I had to learn from it. And it's probably arrogant on my part. I mean to see it at some point.
You know it all, John. I understand that feeling.
Yeah, I was as I was saying, I was thinking, yeah, you know it all, right? Yeah. So no, I was just saying
it is a good watch. You know, for the other people in your life that don't take the time to do the research, it'll be a reason to understand, you know, what's going on. So
you're the second or third person who said you have to watch this, John. So
there you go. So
maybe
that's enough
take time to watch it.
to do that. It's, you know, because it's also visually spectacular. You know, when you say there's sad parts and stuff too, and you know, the reality of stuff too. So she's definitely needing some attention. So
I see her ears.
Yeah, she's get a little bit further down, and then you'll see her more. There we are.
Oh, look at her her color patterns.
Yeah, she's a tuxedo, I think. Peppa. And yeah, anyways.
Mine's a calico.
And that's funny. Well, no, Moofy isn't a calico, but she's kind of grumpy. So I don't know if all calicos are grumpy or not, but
as we generalize from a database of 2.
Yes, we'll take our group of 2 and make a rule out of it.
Universal statement, right?
Universal statement. So I know there's a lot of things that we could learn, and I feel like when we all come from different pages, different understandings, you know, even my thought on ego, you know, to come and flip side onto the same page, the same idea. That's why I feel like bringing in Governance Alive would be really helpful. Rather than reinventing, you know, what kind of governance we're going to do, how are we going to vote, blah, blah, blah.
Right, right.
This is not a strength of mine, and I don't want to make it a focus. I think what the reason also being is that I know in the short time that we spent together, it changed my life enough for me to be brave enough to facilitate Cardano for Climate, you know, and
Cool.
to jump
Good.
into that leadership role. So if that happened for one other person, 2 other people in this group, you know, the impact would be incredible. The other reason I feel like is Idea Scale is big. Project Catalyst has scaled. You know, the intention of it is to reach the highest in human collaboration. Using the platform of Idea Scale, we're scattered. It's just so big. We don't have those focus groups. You know, Cardano for Climate, we have proposals coming in. We don't know which challenge they're going to end up in. And then it's like, oh, new challenges this fund. Okay, let's figure out where you should go. And it's really difficult to actually get stuff done. So I'm thinking this challenge could possibly, especially if we do it fund after fund after fund, whether or not we have the funding, proposals are prepared, we're actually working on these different components. If we don't get the funding in the challenge, we figure out which challenge they belong in, but we're actually moving and starting to roll. So because this, you know, waiting with anticipation and bated breath, every fund, did we get voted in? Oh, no. Okay, what are we going to do this time? Reinvent the wheel. And it's like, it's time to stop reinventing that wheel and figure something out that's going to actually make an impact. And then maybe things catch up, maybe things change. I don't know. So she's distracting, isn't she?
Oh, I enjoy seeing her.
Yeah.
Sure. Sounds like a good project. There's a format. There's several different strategies for doing bottom-up governance. One is something called collective impact. And that's where you have many components of a system getting together, and the components are all equivalent as they get together, but together they manage the complex system. And I've done work with various social groups that way. Like the one was a project in the Appalachian Mountains in the US where there's a lot of poverty for historical reasons, and it manifests in food deserts. And so the collective impact council that was set up was a regional one, and then there were state ones and then local ones. And the food council tries to get everybody who's part of the system together, the trucking companies, the food banks, the grocery stores, the farmers, and so on and so forth, the school lunch kitchens, the whole thing. And deal with the fact that, like in Appalachia, it's probably cheaper to buy carrots from California than the next valley.
Unbelievable.
Because things are so screwed up system-wise.
Which, sorry, in my mind is absolute insanity because of the impact.
Right.
You know, the driving those carrots from California is
ridiculous. Yeah.
We haven't been able to factor in that cost because we've put the dollar above carbon, above impact.
Right, among other things. Yeah. But there's other examples that maybe one of the clearest ones that this was all written up around 2012, 2013 at the Stanford social innovation review, and it did really, landed with a splash in terms of literature on this way of doing things. And one example they gave in that literature was of a town in Connecticut where they had a bad teenage drinking problem. And so they got a collective impact council together that had representatives from different parts of the system that worried about children drinking. So they had police, they had psychiatrists, they had school guidance counselors, they had Alcoholics Anonymous, they had parents organizations, and so on. Anybody that had anything to do with it. And they do specific things when you have a collective impact council. You end up, you try to develop a common measurement system. So like they didn't have a way, people, different groups in the system had different ways of measuring whether a kid had an alcohol problem. And so they came up with one measure. They came up with a common goal and a special way of communicating. So if a kid got picked up by the police who looked drunk, everybody in the system got immediately notified, the parents, the guidance counselors and all that. And then everybody would coordinate to surround this kid and try to solve the problem.
Unbelievable.
And within a year, they had solved the problem.
Unbelievable.
And so that's the kind of system-based thing that you want to do. And so I think that's at least somewhat applicable here, where if you have people who are looking at a lot of different components of the climate, then let's get together and talk about, all right, how do we coordinate this? How do we, what do we want to present first? And the council makes decisions by consent so that nobody is telling anybody else what to do. And you come up with a coordinated approach. I'm guessing that something like that probably is in order. It's a bottom-up system, and it's got some very specific guidance as to how you do things. One of the key things is you need what they call a backbone organization to do things like organize the meetings, keep the records, and all that. And
that's the admin bit. Yeah,
and that's a very important piece of it. We'd have to talk about what and who is going to be doing the backbone support. And so there's I'm suggesting starting with that because it gives a lot of specific guidance that can be then taken or not, but it gives a structure that's been thought through to approach it. And there's many variations of bottom-up stuff, but that's what sounds like would be the first thing to start with on this.
And then from there we can run with it, or we change it up a little bit and do something that would work. How do we get into this system with you? How do we begin?
Oh, some sort of agreement. It doesn't have to be anything formal, just like, okay, if we end up getting a lot of money out of this, can we share a little bit, to John, and that I don't have to have anything other than
a percent.
A percent, but I was going to say some kind of agreement as though, okay, if we succeed, then this is what it is, and then we're all investing. So
nice. I almost feel like this is the way to work. We're working on stuff with finding our ikigai, the things that you love, that the community needs, and you're rewarded for those. Mm-hmm. It tends to be that you do something first, and then it becomes, yes, this is useful. You have success with it, and then it becomes rewarded. I like that idea. For myself anyways. Others would probably feel like, okay, I know I'm going to make X number of dollars if I get all this done. I'd rather get it done, show up and say, this is what I've done, and get paid.
Could you pause the recording just a second?
Yes. Yeah, hang on a second, pause. Yeah, it's good to take important phone calls in between. Yeah. They don't need to be recorded. Okay, so that's fabulous. So if we could work on some sort of agreement. I see this challenge also, recognizing this backbone organization, that these things can't just happen out of the blue. Somebody comes along and connects people, organizes things, and
takes care of the logistics, the icky administrative, junk that has to be there.
Right. People people connecting with one another, that's fine, you know, 2 or 3. But when you start getting up in the numbers 300, there's a backbone organization that needs to be recognized and incentivized and rewarded. So we are working towards that.
Are you recording now? Do you want to be recording this?
It is recording. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, good. I see. All right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, having that agreement that if we have success, if there's income in this, that would be awesome. Yeah. Would that work?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you're on board for the challenge. Where do we go from here?
Well, I need to get probably more detail as to what it is. We had originally, I think, talked about maybe me showing up in a few minutes. It would be somewhat awkward to do that today, and probably they need to be asked. They want this John Buck to show up anyway.
Tomorrow is our core team meeting.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
then
I'm gonna, what I'll do is I'll share this recording.
Okay.
And what will probably end up happening is that because we have these different components, we've got a C4C education collaboration going on, we've got event planning going on. This one's going to be regeneration opportunity for Cardano, and it'll be a separate experiment within our community. So it'll be a piece, you know, that we run with separate from.
So
separate, but attached.
And tomorrow I can come. I'm sorry for interrupting you. The tomorrow I can come. I have it at 10 o'clock my time, which is UTC
3 p.m.
2 p.m.
2 p.m. is what we were going to meet. 3 p.m. UTC is our core team meeting.
Okay, 3 p.m. That would be 11 o'clock my time. That's 8 o'clock your time. UTC.
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
So
you're good at that. I have to use my app.
So we're meeting. I have in my calendar to hold an opening for 10 o'clock my time, which would be.
That would have been us, but.
Okay. All right. So I'll move that down. I think that's because I have the grandkids around, that's fairly awkward. But I could do it if I can hop out of what we're doing and be there for that.
So let me confirm with you through Telegram.
Okay.
You know that, and maybe what we can do is just give you a window of 5-10 minutes during the meeting, and then you go off and do your stuff. We'll talk about you behind your back. It'll be recorded. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
I would love to get a feeling for who's there and just observe for a little while. So
and that'd be awesome.
It doesn't have to be that small.
Yeah, we start at 8, and then so maybe what we'll do is we'll put you on first unless there's something going on.
Why don't you? I can imagine that you've got basic catching up to do and that kind of thing. And there may be some other key things, and I would be helpful to listen to like maybe at least one of the agenda topics so I can get a feel for how the group is working now. Because we were joking about me, knowing it all, which is, I don't. And
we know it's yeah.
And so the understanding, getting a feel for how the group is now operating is really critical to me being able to make any contribution.
I'm going to put you agenda item number 2.
Okay.
And then it'll give you a chance. I took some time off. Newman's come in and filled in. Nori's actually on holidays for a month. So he may or may not show up depending on his Wi-Fi. But yeah, and who shows up is always always interesting. And sometimes we have brand new people at the core team.
Okay. So why don't we do that? And then you and I can schedule a time to talk about what it was I heard and what's going on. And then I'll be able to speak like with, some more grounded sense of what's going on. And I can make some suggestions as to what to do, based on what I'm seeing.
Perfect. So this time that we met today really works pretty well for me. It could be earlier. I can get up if you need it. Wednesdays are kind of out for this time because we
Okay.
have the meetup coming up, and it's usually takes a little bit more.
Right. The challenge I have this week
Is with the
is that,
kids.
well, it's not only that, I did say I got invited a long time ago to go make a keynote speech at a Scrum conference down in Medellin in Colombia. And
Ooh.
so I am taking a couple of days off to run down there
Yeah.
and then come back, and the kids will
It
still be
doesn't,
here.
let's leave it, we can even do this, Tuesday, 2 p.m. UTC, same
I
time
Yeah, I may
next week.
actually have more time on like Friday morning or Saturday morning
Okay,
in
let's do a
Medellin.
Friday morning would actually work.
Okay,
But let's not do, we don't have to do it this week if it's a busy week.
okay.
How long are the kids here for?
They're here through, well, they're going to New York with their mother for a week next week, or for 3 days next week. And I will be probably more available then as I look at it here. So why don't we aim at, let's see. I think the best thing would be Monday, the 11th.
Okay, let's do Monday, the 11th, 2 p.m. UTC, or Monday, 11th. And if that changes, you just let me know. Telegram is way better for me than
Right.
email, but
If you're willing to talk at 6 a.m. your time on Monday, I've got something, I've got, the days are somewhat crammed up because the kids are not there.
Yeah. Let's
So
do it. Yeah, I can
okay.
do that. Yeah, it just has to, I have to get up earlier. My husband's usually home at that time, and I try not to meet, but he'll be sleeping still. So
Okay.
Monday the 11th, 1 p.m. UTC, we'll do that. You're coming tomorrow to our core team meeting, agenda item number 2. Fabulous. And then what kind of links can I give the group to go along with this recording? Because I remember you had a great video on consent. I still have it in my head about the council that was working on planting a park. And the guy that was there, they were planting the perennial flowers.
Right. Yeah. Do you still have the links to that, or do you want me to try to send them to you again?
Are they on YouTube under Governance Alive?
I'm not sure about those, because those were something.
I think they weren't.
I
They
think
weren't
they're
public.
not on YouTube. I think they're. See, I do complicated things. I work with a couple of different organizations, one of which is called Circle Forward, and I think that it's actually Circle Forward that, and I worked on developing those, and so I have like links to
Separate.
Vimeo.
Now,
I have Vimeo links.
so if
I'll
you
try to send you
think of
those.
something, some link in between now and, is that too much to ask though?
No, the simplest thing would be maybe the little TEDx talk I did.
And that's online, right?
Yeah, that I can give you that right off.
Perfect.
Yeah. And I will. Let's see, dig that up right now.
Would it be helpful if you had the idea scale link to the proposal?
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yes, so
I'll
that would be
share that
great.
with, I'll share
Yeah,
that with you.
then I can look at it and try to get myself started to be educated here.
It was not, collaborated on. It was just kind of similar to Fund 6
Mm-hmm.
when I threw in the climate change, the challenge, but it had some collaboration in this one. So it may, next iteration may be different. So
Here is the link to the TEDx talk. And I will try to send you that that thing with the city park thing, so they have some ideas to, what the process is.
perfect.
And yeah, for climate change, it is absolutely critical that people are coordinating. I mean, it's so big and everybody's doing little pieces in it.
Yeah, one of the events that we had, Scott Poynton, he comes from the Pond Foundation. I've met him a few times. Incredible fellow. Anyways, he came to one of our first events, and this has stuck with me. He said, climate change is a failure in cooperation. And it's like,
Perfect. I love that. It's exactly
you got
right.
it.
Yeah.
You got it. And that's why I use it all. It's probably in this proposal because, we fail to cooperate on our limited resources. Idea scale fails because we compete for limited resources, which is our funds. It's the same thing over and over again. We have clear cutting, everything that we're doing wrong has to do with not cooperating on limited resources.
Right.
So I have a feeling that we could set a really good example and have some massive impact if we could work on this cooperation bit. Maybe we'll change that around, that becomes part of history. Climate change was a failure in cooperation. And
Yeah,
this
that would
is
be
what
nice
we
to
did.
change the verb. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what we did to flip that around.
Look out, or I might get children involved too.
That would be incredible. That would be really, really incredible. So it's something. Okay, I'm going to share the TEDx. I'll share this recording as soon as I upload it with the group. Your agenda number 2 tomorrow.
And I may have a little bit of time, a little bit later today, to send you a couple of other, information links.
Perfect. Through Telegram?
I'll send it through Telegram.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm so sorry to ask that of you because
That's
I
fine.
know how
Just,
busy you are.
Just a channel.
Perfect. Just a channel. Okay, this is fabulous and the beginning of something.
Yeah. And Melanie, I am just so in awe of what you're doing. It's like, yes, that's leadership. And so
Well,
thank
do you
you.
remember that the first
I do.
meetings I
Now that you
facilitated?
mention it, I do.
And it's like, oh, should we do this? Or should we? I'm not sure if we should vote on this or, right? And now it's kind of like, it's a philosophy that I try and do in Cardano for Climate too. It's like, this is your community. If it's in your heart, just do it. Just do it. You don't have to ask permission from people. If it's something that's important, do it. We're so used to having to ask, how's the feedback on this? Is this going to work? We're really afraid to fail. And now it's kind of like, okay, I don't have the time to ask everybody. This feedback form needs to get out now. I'm not getting feedback from it. Boom, press send. Oh, didn't work quite well. Oh, well, I know how to fix it. I know how to iterate and do that again. But yeah, this is why I want you on board though, because you know how I was in those first few meetings and how afraid I was to lead. And here I am. And
it is a dramatic change. I will agree.
And the haircut too, right? But this is what we need, is those little, we're in a rut. We need that tiny little steer, to change our direction. And yeah.
Good. I think it's brilliant. And one that will be important, very important in the long run. Yeah.
Yeah. And Nori is really happy too, to have you on board, because he knows, what great work you do, how it's transformed the circle, that exists because of Governance Alive work and you in particular. So, and as even now, I still have these things in my head, the ego thing, the things that we need to flip it on our.
To welcome them in and give them a place.
Right.
All those egos.
Yeah, welcome them in and allow people to be themselves. Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, we'll talk tomorrow, and then we'll talk on Friday.
Sounds really good. And thanks for those links and this TEDx. Awesome. Okay. Ciao for now.
Take care.